Hello, my stamping friends. This is Renee Novak from blessedbycards.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, and I'm here today to share with you another Make It Monday tutorial. Today, we're going to create several cards using the One Sheet Wonder technique, and this paper is from Countryside Inn, and I am going to create quite a few cards today, and I'm going to share with you how to cut this paper in order to make several cards from this one sheet. Now, this particular One Sheet Wonder came from Rhonda Wade, so thanks so much, Rhonda. Can't remember when I gleaned it from you, but I am appreciative. So the first thing you're going to do is take your 12 by 12 piece of paper, and this is what it will look like when you start. And then the first cut that you want to make on your 12 by 12 paper is at 5 1/4. And then you're going to make, then you're going to have a piece of 5 1/4 by 12, and you're going to have this sheet left over. And so out of that first column, you're going to make several cuts. And the template is on my blog at blessedbycards.com for you to download and to follow along. But for right now, let me share with you for that first cut at 5 1/4. Then you want to cut 3 pieces that are 1 inch. And those are those 3. And then you're going to cut 2 of them at 2 1/2. So this is at 2 1/2. And this is at 2 1/2, and then you're going to have a piece left over that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. So those are going to be available. The next cut you're going to make is at 2 3/4. Okay, so you're going to cut that at 2 3/4, and you're going to have a little piece left over that we're not going to use, and that strip is going to be cut at 5 1/2 and 5 1/4. And I got the first one at 5 1/4 and 5 1/2, and then here's your little leftover piece. Okay, and so then the last piece that's left is a piece that measures 4 by 12. So then that last cut was going to be at 4 inches. It wasn't even a cut, it's just what was left over. And the first cut you're going to make is at 2 3/4 at the top, and then you're going to cut a piece at 5 1/4, and that piece is going to be cut at 2 1/8, which will give you a 2 1/8 by 5 1/4, and that will have your leftover piece of 1 7/8, and then your last piece will be 3 by 4. And so that is all the cutting, and again, the template is available on my blog at blessedbycards.com, as well as all the instructions for all the cards I'm going to be making today. So let's get started, and I can share with you the cards that I made. So the first card that I created using those 3 strips, and I'm just going to go down the template. So the 3 strips of 1 inch by 5 1/4 inch. I layered them all 3 on the front of my card. This is a Night of Navy card base. And then I used the Color and Contour stamp set and dies. I stamped the greeting in Night of Navy ink. And I used the boho blue cardstock to cut the first rectangle. And then I did the dotted Swiss rectangle in white. And so that's the first card. And again, all of these measurements and pictures are on my blog in a free PDF download. So the second card then, going down that template, I'm using a 2 1/2 inch by 5 1/4 strip of the Designer Series paper. And this time I flipped it over to have the other side. Instead of having the flowers and leaves and trees, I flipped it over for this smaller, more petite design. And my base is a boho blue, and then I took a little strip of Misty Moonlight on each side of my Designer Series paper, and then I mounted my greeting stamped in Misty Moonlight ink on white on top of, again, that Color and Contour die. And so that's the second card. And then the third card is again using that second piece of 2.5 by 5.25 down that first row. And I added a little layer of Night of Navy on the side of this one. This is a balmy blue card base. And then I stamped the thanks from Artistically Inked in Night of Navy. And I did use some Stampin' Dimensionals to pop this greeting up. And I just layered it in a little thin layer of Night of Navy. So that's card number 3. Card number 4 was using a piece on that first strip of 5.25 by 4. And I just put that on the front as my card layer. And this is a Night of Navy card base. And I cut some Night of Navy wreath leaves from the Country Wreath dies. And then my white circle is punched from the Decorative Circle punch. And then my greeting stamped in Night of Navy is from the Seasonal Branches. And that's a new bundle that's in the new annual catalog. So the next card then, going down the second row, is I used a piece of 5.25 by 2 and I think it was 2 3/4. So 2 3/4 by 5.25, and I just mounted that at the top, and then I did a little greeting. This is from that Seasonal Branches bundle, and then I just layered it up on some Night of Navy cardstock, and I did not put that on Stampin' Dimensionals. I just glued that straight down. Okay, so that's the next one. All right, so then using that piece that measures 2 3/4 by 5.5, I layered underneath it a piece of Night of Navy, and then I just stamped my greeting right at the bottom of my white cardstock. So that was a white card base. So that one was super simple. And then the next one. So this is a piece that measures 4 by 3 3/4. And so I just mounted it, the Designer Series paper, on a piece of Night of Navy. This is a balmy blue cardstock base. And then I did use my Stamparatus to make sure that I got a really dark greeting. And the greeting is from Biggest Wishes. And I stamped that in Night of Navy ink. All right. So moving right along to our 8th card. This one's a little bit of a fun fold. So what I did was I took my card base and I scored it in half like I normally do. And then I scored it at 2 1/8, so half of this distance. And then I folded it back on itself to make it more of an accordion fold. And then you can get this fun fold. So there you see it. You've got the 1/2 inch, or the half of the card, I'm sorry, 4 1/4 inches, and then 2 1/8, and I folded it back on itself, and then it opens up like that. And so this one was used with the Country Corners die, and what I did was I stamped it first on a piece of white, and then I used the dies to cut it out. And then I stamped again the greeting on a piece of white and used the smaller die to cut it out and mount it in there. And then this, of course, is one of the dies in there as well, and I used that from Night of Navy. Then I did pop it up with Stampin' Dimensionals. I put 3 on the left side, so you want to make sure that you don't put it on the whole thing or your card's going to not open. Okay, so depending on how you look at it, it's on the left side as it's finished, but if you flip it over, you would be putting the Stampin' Dimensionals on the back right side so that it'll adhere right down to your piece of, this is that piece that was cut in half. So this is a 2 1/8 inch by 5 1/4. That's that strip. Okay, and then card number 9, and in my PDF that you can download for free that has all the measurements and the instructions, I do have everything labeled as card number 1, card number 2, card number 3, so it should be pretty easy to follow. So this is the next one, and this is the boho This is card number 9. It's my little cheat sheet. And this is the boho blue. And I did, again, this smaller, more detailed side. And I added a couple strips of Night of Navy. And then, again, I used one of those color and contour dies. And this image, this greeting, is from Hope and Prayer. And I stamped that in Night of Navy ink. And I did, again, use Stampin' Dimensionals to pop this up. And that is card number 9. And our last card is using that piece that measures 3 by 4. And I just mounted it up. I started with the Night of Navy card base. There's number 10, my cheat sheet. And number 10, and Night of Navy card base, followed by a layer of boho blue, another layer of Night of Navy, and then my 3 by 4 inch piece of Designer Series paper. Follow Your Dreams is stamped in Night of Navy, and it is in the Lighting the Way stamp set that's in the annual catalog. So, and I did use Stampin' Dimensionals to pop that greeting up as well. So that is my last card. So that is card number 10. And that is my Make It Monday for today. That is one sheet of 12 by 12 paper that we have created all these different cards that we can use to bless others. So that's all I have for today. If you enjoyed this tutorial, give me a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos. And until next time, be blessed.